everyone, and welcome to our video lesson series for English File 4th edition Intermediate. Whether you're learning English for work, travel, or just for fun, this course is designed to help you build confidence and fluency. Today we're diving into Unit 3, Part A, which is called Survive the Drive. Today's lesson is all about transport, traffic, and the tricks of the English language that help us talk about it all. Here is your exact roadmap for our class together, so you know exactly what's coming. Part 1. Vocabulary and Speaking. First, we'll learn all the essential words you need to talk about transport. We'll cover everything from buses and trains to traffic jams and speed limits and so on. And then you'll get to use them right away by giving transport advice to a tourist. Next is pronunciation. We'll look at 3 tricky English sounds: sh, ch, j. And part number 3, reading and listening. After that, get ready for a crazy race across London. We'll read about 3 presenters from the TV show Top Gear who try to cross the city by boat, car, and bike. Then we'll listen to find out if the 4th presenter, using only public transport, can beat them and be the winner. Next is grammar, number 4. In part 4, we'll master comparisons. We'll review how to say something is faster than another thing, or the fastest of all, and when to use as fast as, and so on. This is a key for discussing which transport is best. Next is number 5, listening and pronunciation. Then we'll listen to some surprising research from the USA about what really causes car accidents. We'll also learn how English words link together in fast speech, which is a secret to understanding native speakers more easily. Part number 6, speaking. Here is your turn to speak. You'll discuss your opinions on big questions about driving and transport, like, cycling in cities is too dangerous. You'll learn phrases to kind of agree, disagree, and explain your point of view. Next is number 7, writing, the final one. So finally, we'll put it all together in a writing task. You'll write a short online article describing the best and worst ways to travel in your city or town, using all the new vocabulary and grammar from today's lesson. Okay, from a wild race in London to the secrets of safe driving, we're going to compare, discuss, and describe it all. Let's get started with a part 1, vocabulary and speaking. Task 1. Listen and number. First, let's listen. You will hear 8 different types of transport. Your job is very simple. You need to number them from 1 to 8 in the order you hear them. So if you hear kind of a particular form of transport or kind of transport, you just put this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I think you're ready to do this task. It's just, to warm up. Let's do it.
3.1 1.
Tickets, please.
Two.
Have you all got your seatbelts on?
3. 4. 5. 6.
Mind the gap.
7. 8.
'City centre, please.
Moving on to the vocabulary bank. Part 1. Learn the words public transport and vehicles. Part A. Let's match. Look at the words and the pictures on the right. Your task: connect each word to the correct picture. If you have no idea what some of the words are, don't worry, try to guess and then check and learn.
Three point two. Transport. 1. Public transport and vehicles. 2.
Coach,
8.
Ferry.
3.
lorry,
9.
Motorbike.
6.
motorway,
4.
Scooter.
5.
tram,
7.
The underground.
1.
van,
Next part. Let's make compound nouns. A compound noun is when we put two words together to make one new idea. For example, apple pie. Okay, no, it's an old thing. Car plus crash. So we got car crash and something like that. So your task: use the words in the white box to complete the phrases below. Match them with the pictures. Words you can use: belt, camera, crossing, fine, hour, jam, lane, lights, limit, rank, station, works, zone. So do this task, then listen and check.
Three point three. 2. On the road. 1.
Car crash.
2.
Cycle lane.
3.
Parking fine.
4.
Pedestrian zone.
5.
Petrol station.
6.
Roadworks.
7.
Rush hour.
8.
Seatbelt.
9,
Speed camera.
10,
Speed limit.
11,
Taxi rank.
12,
Traffic lights.
13,
Traffic jam.
14,
Zebra crossing.
Part 3. How long does it take? How long does it take? We use take plus person plus time plus to get, to, from, to talk about the duration of a journey, so how long it is. It takes about an hour to get from London to Oxford by train. It took me, or just it took, more than an hour to get to work yesterday. How long does it take you to get to school? And something like that. So, let's answer these two questions and try to use this structure of take, or how long does it take. Question number 1. How do you get to work, school? How long does it take? Some example answers. You can say, I take the bus, it takes about 20 minutes. I drive my car, it takes half an hour if there is no traffic jam. I go by train, the journey takes 45 minutes. I walk, it only takes 10 minutes. I ride my bike, it takes me 15 minutes. I use the underground, it takes about 25 minutes. By the way, speaking of me, it takes me half of a minute just to get to my work because I work at home. So I get up and go to my workplace, so here, from my bed. And that's all. Next is number 2. How long does it take to get from your house to the town center? Some example answers. It takes 10 minutes by car. By bus, it takes around 20 minutes. If I walk, it takes a long time, maybe 40 minutes. It's very fast by train, only 5 minutes. Speaking of me, if I walk, it takes me about 10 minutes to go to the town center because I live in a small town. Okay, now you get it or got all ideas how to answer. Your turn to speak a little bit and practice the structure. It takes, how long does it take, and so on. Next, number 4, phrasal verbs. Part A. Complete the phrasal verbs with a word from the list. And, look, pick, run, set. We off at 7 o'clock in the morning to try to avoid the traffic. 2. I arrive at 8:15. Do you think you could me up at the station? Opposite word, drop off. Always check the address you put in your sat nav, or you may up in the wrong place. 4. We are going to out of petrol soon. Let's stop at the next petrol station. 5. Or watch out, something out or watch out, you're going to crash. Now, just complete the phrasal verbs, then check and learn.
Three 3.4. 4. Phrasal verbs. 1,
We set off at 7 in the morning to try to avoid the traffic.
2,
I arrive at 8:15. Do you think you could pick me up at the station?
3,
Always check the address you put in your sat-nav or you may end up in the wrong place.
4,
We're going to run out of petrol soon. Let's stop at the next petrol station.
5,
Look out! You're going to crash!
Moving on. Communication. Look, the initial task was something like this. You pretend to be a tourist in a foreign city and you ask someone in your offline class these questions. Since we use the online format, just pretend that you're helping someone to get some information. In other words, just answer these questions about your town or city. Let me show you some examples of what to say and how to say, because it can help you get necessary ideas for doing this task. What kind of public transport is there? You can say we have, and then we have buses, a tram, and a train station, and so on. Just list all things connected or related to public transport in your town or city. Number 2. What's the best way for me to get around the city? The bus is the best way, it's cheap and easy, something like that. Or I think walking is the best. The city center is a pedestrian zone, so there are no cars, or there aren't any cars. Next is, can I hire a bike? Are there any cycle lanes? Yes, you can hire a bike near the station, and yes, we have many cycle lanes. Or you can hire a bike, but there aren't many cycle lanes, so be careful. Number 4. Is it easy to find taxis? How expensive are they? Yes, very easy. There is a taxi rank at the station. They're quite expensive. Or you can say it's easy to find a taxi. They're not too expensive for short journeys, like about 5 or 10 minutes. Next is, what's the best way to get to the airport? How long does it take? The best way, the airport bus. It takes about half an hour or 30 minutes. A taxi, the fastest way, it takes 20 minutes, but it is more expensive. Okay, now use your own ideas and say something. Try to help a foreign tourist in your town or city. Part number 2. Everything is the same, except questions are changed. Number 1. What time is the rush hour in this town? The rush hour is from 7 to 9 in the morning and 5 to 7 in the evening, or something like that. You can name your own rush hours. It's in the morning around 8 a.m. and something like that. Next. Where are there often traffic jams? There are often traffic jams on the bridge and near the motorway exit, or on the main road into the city center during rush hour, and something like that. Next is, what's the speed limit? Are there speed cameras anywhere? The speed limit in the city is 50 kilometers per hour. Yeah, there are a few speed cameras. Or it's 30 miles per hour in town. I don't think there are any speed cameras. Look, if you're not a driver, you can skip this question because, for example, I have no idea about what the speed limit is in my town and how many cameras there are. So, something like that. Number 4. What will happen if I park somewhere illegal? You will probably get a parking fine, or the police will give you a parking fine. Your car can be taken away in some serious situations. And number 5, where is the nearest tourist attraction outside the city? How long does it take to drive there? For example, you can name any your kind of cities or towns attraction, like the old castle. It takes about 40 minutes to drive there. Or the national park, it takes 1 hour by car. Something like that. Okay, they were just examples, ideas. Now make them true for you and answer the questions, but using your own ideas. I'll repeat it one more time. Do it. Part number 2. Pronunciation. A. Look at the sound pictures. What are the words and sounds? Listen and repeat. Just listen to the audio and repeat after the speaker.
3.5.
Shower. Sh.
Jazz. J.
Chess. Ch.
B. Write 3 words from the list in each column. So, some of these words contain the sound sh, j, and ch. So, write 3 words in each column depending on which sound it has. I think the task is clear. Just read these words out loud and then decide which column to put it into. And after that, listen to the answer keys and practice saying the words.
Three 3.6.
Shower. Sh. Crash. Rush. Station.
Jazz. J. Bridge. Journey. Traffic jam.
Chess. Ch. Adventure. Catch. Coach.
Part D. Listen to the pairs of words. Can you hear the difference? Practice saying them. Just listen and repeat.
3.7. 1.
Cheap. Jeep.
2.
Chain. Jane.
3.
Choke. Joke.
4.
Ship. Chip.
5.
Shoes. Choose.
6.
Wash. Watch.
Now, part E. Listen and circle the word you hear. So you will hear only 6 words. So it will be whether A or B. A or B. You just need to hear the exact word and circle it.
3.8. 1.
Jeep.
2.
Chain.
3.
Joke.
4.
Chip.
5.
Shoes.
6.
Watch.
3.8. 1.
Jeep.
2.
Chain.
3.
Joke.
4.
Chip.
5.
Shoes.
6.
Watch.
Part F. Listen and write 5 short sentences or questions. It's just a small dictation. Listen, write down somewhere, and check what you've written.
3.9. 1,
Do you like chips?
2,
I'm going to wash it.
3,
You choose.
4,
Don't joke about it.
5,
Is it cheap?
3.9. 1,
Do you like chips?
2,
I'm going to wash it.
3,
You choose.
4,
Don't joke about it.
5.
Is it cheap?
Part number 3. Reading, listening. The London race. Okay, first, let's set the scene. You're going to read about a fun race across London from the TV show Top Gear. Read the introduction and find this information. Where does the race start? Where does it finish? What are the 4 forms of transport they use? We'll do it together to save some time. The task is very easy and we use it only for introduction to the main tasks, or main ones. Top Gear Challenge. Let's read it. What's the fastest way to get across London? On Top Gear, a classic BBC series about cars and driving, they decided to organize a race across London to find the quickest way to cross a busy city. The idea was to start from Kew Bridge in the southwest of London and to finish the race at the check-in desk at London City Airport in the east. A journey of approximately, not exactly, 15 miles. 4 forms of transport were chosen: a bike, a car, a motorboat, and public transport. The show's presenter Jeremy Clarkson took the boat, and his colleague James May went by car, a large Mercedes. Richard Hammond went by bike, and the Stig took public transport, a bus, the tube, and a train. They set off on a Monday morning in the rush hour. Okay, let's check it straight away. You see, the race starts at Kew Bridge and finishes at London City Airport. The 4 types of transport are a boat, a car, a bike, and public transport, and they are going to compete with each other. So, here is the introduction. Now let's move on. Part B. Predict the winner. Discuss it with yourself. Which transport do you think will be the fastest out of these 4? Why? And what order do you think the other 3 will arrive in? 2nd place, 3rd place, and the last one, 4th place. Just think about it a little and then decide. Part C. Read and check your ideas. Now read and listen about what happened to Jeremy, boat, Richard, bike, and James, car. After you read, think about it again. Think about it again. Do you still think your first prediction was correct, or you want to change something? Jeremy in the motorboat. His journey was along the River Thames. For the first few miles, there was a speed limit of 9 miles an hour, because there are so many ducks and other birds in that part of the river. The river was confusing, and at one point he realized that he was going in the wrong direction. But he turned round and got back onto the right route. Soon he was going past Fulham Football Club. He phoned Richard and asked him where he was. Good news for Jeremy. He was ahead of the bike. He got to Wandsworth Bridge. The speed limit finished there, and he could now go as fast as he liked. Jeremy felt like the fastest moving man in all of London. He was flying, coming close to 50 miles an hour. How could he lose now? He could see Tower Bridge ahead. His journey was 7 miles longer than the others, but he was now going at 70 miles an hour, not far to the airport now. Richard on the bike. Richard could use bus lanes, which was great, but of course he had to be careful not to crash into the buses. He hated buses, horrible things. When the traffic lights turned red, he thought of cycling through them, but then he remembered that he was on TV, so he had to stop. When he got to Piccadilly, he was delighted to see that there was a terrible traffic jam. He could go through the traffic, but James in his Mercedes would get stuck. He got to Trafalgar Square and then went into a cycle lane. From now on, it was going to be easier. James in the car. He started off okay. He wasn't going fast, but at a steady speed, until he was stopped by the police. They only wanted to check the permit for the cameraman in the back of the car, but it meant that he lost 3 or 4 valuable minutes. The traffic was getting worse. Now he was going really slowly. 25 miles an hour, 23, 20, 18. It was so frustrating. Part D. Challenge. Read the 3 stories again and answer the questions. By the way, don't pay attention to time limits here. You have unlimited time, actually. Right. J-E for Jeremy, boat, R for Richard, and J-A for James, car. And some things. Who was asked to show a piece of paper? Who went much faster later? Who decided not to do something illegal? But he thought of that. Who went more slowly later? Who was happy to see traffic jam? Who got slightly lost? And who had the most exciting journey? Okay, now read and listen again and then complete these gaps. Jeremy in the motorboat. His journey was along the River Thames. For the first few miles, there was a speed limit of 9 miles an hour, because there are so many ducks and other birds in that part of the river. The river was confusing, and at one point he realized that he was going in the wrong direction. But he turned round and got back onto the right route. Soon he was going past Fulham Football Club. He phoned Richard and asked him where he was. Good news for Jeremy, he was ahead of the bike. He got to Wandsworth Bridge. The speed limit finished there, and he could now go as fast as he liked. Jeremy felt like the fastest moving man in all of London. He was flying, coming close to 50 miles an hour. How could he lose now? He could see Tower Bridge ahead. His journey was 7 miles longer than the others, but he was now going at 70 miles an hour, not far to the airport now. Richard on the bike. Richard could use bus lanes, which was great, but of course he had to be careful not to crash into the buses. He hated buses, horrible things. When the traffic lights turned red, he thought of cycling through them, but then he remembered that he was on TV, so he had to stop. When he got to Piccadilly, he was delighted to see that there was a terrible traffic jam. He could go through the traffic, but James in his Mercedes would get stuck. He got to Trafalgar Square and then went in the cycle lane. From now on, it was going to be easier. James in the car. He started off okay. He wasn't going fast, but at a steady speed, until he was stopped by the police. They only wanted to check the permit for the cameraman in the back of the car, but it meant that he lost 3 or 4 valuable minutes. The traffic was getting worse. Now he was going really slowly. 25 miles an hour, 23, 20, 18. It was so frustrating. Let's check the answers. Who was asked to show a piece of paper? It was actually James, who went by car. He had a cameraman with him, and a police officer asked to show a license to allowing or letting them to film something. Next is, who went much faster later? It was Jeremy on a boat, because first there was a speed limit and then he was free to go. Next is, who decided not to do something illegal? It was Richard. Next is, who went more slowly later? It was James by car because of the traffic jam. Next is, who was happy to see a traffic jam? Of course it was Richard, because he was on a bike and he could use it to kind of not avoid, but to move faster than the traffic cars there. Next is, okay, who got slightly lost? Actually, it was Jeremy on a boat, because actually he chose wrong direction. And then everything was fine. Next is 7. Who had the most exciting journey? It was Jeremy, because he was enjoying all moments of his journey. So he was happy. He was really happy, so to speak. Okay, those were the answers. Now let's move on. Part E. Understand new words. Look at the highlighted words in the text, like turn round, ahead of, crash into. Try to guess what they mean from the sentence, or you can just, translate them. Then check yourself and learn these words. Part F. Listen to the Stig's story. Now, let's find out what happened to the 4th person, the Stig, who used public transport. Listen and look at the map. If you find working with the map is difficult, I think don't pay attention to it. Just try to hear main points and main ideas in the audio. Okay, but there are some questions, like what route did he take? Like which bus, tube line, and train? It's very difficult to hear, but anyway. And what information or warning? Warning is kind of telling somebody that something bad may happen in the future so that they can try to avoid it. I hope you know this word, warning. So what information or warning do you hear on the tube? Just try to do this task. It won't be easy, I warn you, and check yourself.
3.10.
The Stig was using public transport for the first time in his life. He saw a big red thing coming towards him, a bus. He got on it and used his Oyster card to pay. 10 minutes later, he got off and got the tube at Acton Town to take the District line to Monument. 18 stops.
The train now approaching is a District line train to West Ham. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
The Stig noticed that everyone was reading a newspaper, so he picked up a free one that was on a seat and started reading.
The next station is Monument. Change here for the Central Line and the Docklands Light Railway.
He got off the tube and ran to the platform for the Docklands Light Railway. After a few minutes, a train arrived. Now it was just 10 stops and he would be there.
Let's take a look at his route. He took a bus from Kew Bridge to Acton Town. Then he took the Underground District line from Acton Town to Monument. Then at Monument he changed onto the Docklands Light Railway, which he took to London City Airport. And some announcements and warnings. The train now approaching is, please mind the gap between the train and the platform. The next station is Monument. Change here for, some typical things that you hear on the tube or on the Underground.
3.10.
The Stig was using public transport for the first time in his life. He saw a big red thing coming towards him, a bus. He got on it and used his Oyster card to pay. Ten minutes later, he got off and got the tube at Acton Town to take the District line to Monument. 18 stops.
The train now approaching is a District line train to West Ham. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
The Stig noticed that everyone was reading a newspaper, so he picked up a free one that was on a seat and started reading.
The next station is Monument. Change here for the Central Line and the Docklands Light Railway.
He got off the tube and ran to the platform for the Docklands Light Railway. After a few minutes, a train arrived. Now it was just 10 stops and he would be there.
Next, part G, and the winner is. Okay, write down the order you think all four people arrived, first, second, third, and fourth, and then listen to the final result. What was the real order? Why do you think Jeremy Clarkson was annoyed? He was slightly angry because something had happened there. Okay, listen and check.
3.11.
Jeremy Clarkson, who had travelled in the boat, ran into London City Airport and ran straight to the check-in desk. The man at the check-in desk said,
"Unfortunately, a gentleman on a bike has checked in already."
Jeremy couldn't believe it. He looked at Richard Hammond, who was standing nearby laughing. They waited for the other two to arrive. They needed public transport to come last. Top Gear, after all, is a programme about cars. A few minutes later, the Stig came in. He was third. And 15 minutes later, James, who had come by car, arrived at the airport. Disaster! Public transport had beaten the car.
Place number 1. Surprisingly, it's Richard on a bike. The place number 2, it's Jeremy on a boat. The place number 3, it's a Stig on public transport. And the place number 4, it's a James who was in a car, or he used a car to get there. Okay, and speaking of the second question, why do you think Jeremy Clarkson was annoyed? Because Top Gear is a car program and the car came last. So it was an annoying thing to see or to witness, because if your program is all about cars, yeah, it's frustrating. Okay. Part H. Think of your nearest big city. What kind of public transport is there? If a race was organized there between a bike, a car, and public transport, what order do you think they would arrive in? Okay, think about your city or the nearest city. What kind of public transport is there? You can say, in my city we have, again, buses, a train, and a tram, or there is a metro or the underground and many buses, or we only have buses and taxis and so on. Number 2, if there was a race between a bike, a car, and public transport in your city, who would win? What would the order be? And there are some example answers. I think the bike would win because there are many traffic jams. Then the public transport and the car would be last. Or in my city, the metro would be first because it is very fast. Then the car and the bike would be last because the city is very big. Or I think the car would win if there is no rush hour, the bike would be second, and the bus would be last because it is slow. Something like that. Okay, now try to discuss it with yourself. Теперь переведем всю эту историю, тексты и аудиозаписи. Top Gear Challenge. То есть имеется в виду челлендж. Top Gear — это у нас так называется передача на британском телевидении про машины, довольно известная. Так, какой самый быстрый способ, чтобы передвигаться get across, то есть имеется в виду или пересечь, или передвигаться по Лондону? В Top Gear классической BBC серия телепередач про машины и вождение. Они решили организовать гонку через Лондон, чтобы найти самый быстрый способ пересечь busy city. Здесь в значении не в смысле занятой город, а в смысле, что город много людей, много машин и поток, соответственно, вот эта вот вещь. Дальше. Сама идея была начать с моста Q, или Q-бриджа, на, получается, юго-западе Лондона, и закончить гонку на стойке регистрации в лондонском городском аэропорте на востоке. И сама дорога, journey, то есть дорога, approximately, это приблизительно, то есть дорога приблизительно 15 миль. 4 формы транспорта были выбраны. Велосипед, машина, лодка и, лодка с мотором. И получается общественный транспорт. Ведущий шоу Джереми Кларксон взял на себя лодку. Его коллега Джеймс Мэй поехал на машине, большой Мерседес. Ричард Хаммонд поехал на велосипеде. А вот The Stick, тоже такой персонаж, воспользовался общественным транспортом, автобусом, метро и поездом. Они отправились в понедельник утром в час пик, in the rush hour, то есть в час пик. Это первая часть. Дальше. Джереми на лодке. Его дорога или его путешествие было по реке Темзе. Первые несколько миль, это несколько, то есть первые несколько миль была скорость, точнее даже там было ограничение скорости 9 миль в час. Потому что там есть очень много уток и других птиц в этой части реки. Река была confusing, имеется в виду, что в этой реке нелегко ориентироваться. Вот так вот можно перевести. The river was confusing. И в какой-то момент, в какой-то момент он осознал, что он двигался в неправильном направлении. Но он развернулся, turn round, то есть поменял направление, развернулся, и, получается, снова вошел в правильный маршрут. То есть right route, правильный маршрут. Вскоре он, получается, пусть будет плыл через, точнее не плыл мимо вот этого футбольного клуба. Я так понимаю, это стадион. Он позвонил Ричарду и спросил его, где он был. Хорошие новости для Джереми. Он был впереди велосипеда. Он уже добрался до вот этого вот моста. Ограничение скорости закончилось там, и теперь он мог двигаться насколько быстро, насколько он мог себе это позволить. То есть так быстро, как ему бы понравилось. Джереми чувствовал себя, как будто бы он самый быстро движущийся человек во всем Лондоне. Он просто летел, he was flying, то есть скорость приближалась к 50 милям в час. Как он мог теперь проиграть? Он увидел Tower Bridge ahead, то есть это еще один мост. Его дорога была, получается, на 7 миль длиннее или больше, чем у остальных, то есть дорога остальных. Но теперь он ехал в 70 миль в час, недалеко от аэропорта теперь. Ричард на велосипеде. Ричард мог использовать дорожки для автобусов, которые были замечательными, но, конечно же, ему надо было быть осторожным, чтобы не врезаться в автобусы. Он ненавидел автобусы, ужасная вещь. Когда, получается, светофоры стали красными, он подумал о том, чтобы начать, то есть проехать на велосипеде через них. Но затем он вспомнил, что все-таки он был на телевидении, поэтому ему пришлось остановиться. Когда он добрался до Пикадилли, он был доволен, delighted, он был очень доволен, увидев, что была ужасная пробка. Он мог проехать через эту пробку, то есть имеется в виду через этот поток машин, но вот Джеймс на Мерседесе там бы застрял. Он добрался до площади, Трафалгарской площади, и затем, получается, въехал на велодорожку. И теперь с этого момента все должно быть гораздо легче. Теперь Джеймс в машине. Он начал нормально, то есть завелся, первая дорога была нормальной. Он не ехал слишком быстро, но с постоянной скоростью, до тех пор, пока он был остановлен полицией. Они всего лишь хотели проверить разрешение, то есть permit — это официальная бумага, разрешение, то есть именно что-то такое в юридическом смысле для, получается, оператора позади его машины, на заднем сиденье его машины. Но это означало, что он потерял 3 или 4 ценных минуты. Поток машин становился хуже. Теперь он двигался очень медленно, 25 миль в час, 23, 20, 18. Это было таким расстраивающим моментом. Но frustrating это его расстраивало, естественно. Итак, дальше идет Стиг, то есть тот у нас, кто на общественном транспорте. Стиг использовал общественный транспорт первый раз в его жизни. Он увидел большую красную штуку, которая ехала навстречу к нему. Автобус. Он зашел на него, то есть автобус, и использовал свою ойстерскую карту, то есть такая специальная карта, которой можно платить за разные вещи, имеется в виду транспорт в Лондоне, чтобы заплатить. 10 минут спустя он сошел с автобуса, то есть вышел из него, и, получается, зашел в метро на вот этой станции, Acton Town. И, получается, поехал на вот этой вот, взял такую-то ветку, District Line, это ветка District, до монумента. Это название этого станции метро. 18 остановок. То есть, получается, поезд теперь приближается к District Line Train to West Ham. Это эти объявления, то есть поезд теперь приближается к этой... точнее не линии, до ветки Вестхэма, пожалуйста, обратите внимание или держите в уме, что то есть между поездом и платформой есть расстояние. То есть имеется в виду, что держите это во внимании, и не надо слишком быстро подходить к краю платформы. Стиг заметил, что все читали газету, поэтому он, получается, picked up, то есть подобрал, или имеется в виду, у кого-то схватил бесплатную одну или свободную одну газету, которая была на сиденье, и начал читать. Следующая станция – Монумент. Перейдите здесь, то есть измените направление, change here дословно, ну так, перейдите здесь на центральную ветку, и вот это вот Docklands Light Railway – это уже железнодорожная станция. Он сошел с метро и, получается, побежал на платформу уже на железнодорожную станцию. После пары минут поезд пришел. Теперь это всего лишь 10 остановок, и он должен был быть там. И финальная часть. Джереми Кларксон, который, получается, проплыл, точнее, на лодке, вбежал в аэропорт и побежал прямо к доске регистрации. Мужчина у доски регистрации сказал: к несчастью, вот джентльмен на, получается, велосипеде уже, имеется в виду, зарегистрировался. Джереми не мог в это поверить. Он посмотрел на Ричарда Хэммонда, который стоял рядом, смеясь. Они прождали остальных, участников остальных двух, чтобы они туда прибыли. Им нужно было, чтобы общественный транспорт пришел последним. Top Gear, вот эта передача After All. After All это как бы вообще, в целом. То есть Top Gear вообще это программа про машины. А несколько минут спустя прибыл Стик. Он был третьим. И 15 минут уже спустя Джеймс, который, получается, проехал на машине, прибыл в аэропорт. Disaster – это катастрофа. Общественный транспорт, то есть сделал или выиграл у машины. Вот теперь целиковая такая вот история со всей лексикой. Надеюсь, было полезно. Давайте идти дальше. Part 4. Grammar, Comparatives and Superlatives. Let's learn how to compare things correctly. What are we practicing? Actually, comparatives, when we compare two things. For example, A is faster than B. And superlatives, when we talk about the number one thing in a group. It is the fastest way, it is the best way, and so on. Okay, let's become the grammar detectives. Read the sentences below. Look at the highlighted phrases in yellow. Your mission is to decide, is the phrase right or wrong? If it is wrong, you must correct it and say the correct phrase. We will do the first one together. Just for example, number 1. What the quicker way to get across London? This is completely wrong. We are comparing all the ways to cross London, so we need the superlative. And correction, what the quickest way to get across London? Okay, now it's your turn. Try to do the other sentences and then check yourself. Okay, let's start checking with number 2. Driving is more boring than going by train. Here, everything is okay, you don't need to change anything here. Number 3. The boat was nearly as fast than the bike. No, we don't have such a structure. We have the structure to compare as plus adjective plus as. So, the correction is the boat was nearly as fast as the bike, not then. Next is, Oxford is about the same distance from London as Brighton. The same thing as, it's completely correct, we use this structure. Number 5. There aren't as much trains as there were before in this line. Here's a tricky. You see the word trains. It's a plural form of a word train. So, actually, with plurals we use many. There aren't as many trains as there were before this line. Okay, number 6. It was the more exciting journey I've ever had. Here we need the superlative form, of course. It was the most exciting journey I've ever had. The best one. Number 7. The worst time of day to travel in London is between 7:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. You see, everything is fine here. And the last, women drive more careful than men, Actually, here we need an adverb, or just adverb, so we correct it like this. Women drive more carefully than men. Because drive how? It's an adverb of manner. It's not an adjective. Okay, I hope at least you warmed up a little bit. Now let's kind of get to the main thing. Now just listen to the examples and try to get at least a small picture of what's going on.
3.12. 1.
My car is a bit older than yours.
London is more expensive than Edinburgh.
This test is less difficult than the last one.
Olive oil is better for you than butter.
2.
The new sofa isn't as comfortable as the old one.
I don't have as many books as I used to.
3.13. 1.
My father drives faster than me.
He walks more slowly than I do.
Liverpool played worse today than last week.
2.
Max doesn't speak English as well as his wife.
I don't earn as much as my boss.
3.14.
Kevin is the tallest player in the team.
Oslo is the most expensive capital city in Europe.
The small bag is the least expensive. Lucy is the best student in the class.
Who dresses the most stylishly in your family?
That's the worst we've ever played.
Okay, let me read it or say a couple of things. Before, of course, we dive into practice. Part 1. Comparing two people, places, or things. Rule 1. Use comparative adjectives plus than. When you compare two things, you often use a comparative adjective followed by than. My car is a bit older than yours. London is more expensive than Edinburgh. This test is less difficult than the last one. Olive oil is better for you than butter, and something like that. How to form comparatives. Short adjectives. We just add ending er. Old, older, big, bigger, nice, nicer, and so on. For long adjectives, use more before the adjective. And remember, you don't need an ending er anymore if you use this word more. So modern, more modern. Interesting, more interesting. Exciting, more exciting, and so on. And we have some irregular adjectives. Some words change completely. Good, better, bad, worse, and far, further or farther. Actually, you can use both options here. So they are irregular ones. You have to learn them by heart. Next is Rule 2. Use as plus adjective as or not as plus adjective as. This is another way to say two things are similar or different. The new sofa isn't as comfortable as the old one. I don't have as many books as I used to, and something like that. Actually, it's a quite simple structure, but remember that we don't change adjective here. As plus adjectives plus as, without endings, without more. Next is object pronouns. Me, him, etc. After then and as. After then or as, we can use an object pronoun. Me, him, her, etc. Or a subject pronoun. I, he, she, etc. plus auxiliary verb. She's taller than me. Or she's taller than I am. But you can't say she's taller than I. Or they are not as busy as us. Or they are not as busy as we are. But you can't say they are not as busy as we. And this structure is the same as. We use the same as to say that two people, places, things are identical. Her dress is the same as mine, and so on. So something like this, the same as. Okay, part 2. Comparing two actions. Not things, actions. We use comparative adverbs. So use these to compare how two actions are done. My father drives faster than me. He walks more slowly than I do. Liverpool played worse today than last week. How to form comparative adverbs. Many adverbs use more slowly, more nicely, and so on. Especially if you see the ending ly. But some are irregular. Well, better, badly, worse, fast, faster, and next is rule 2. Use not as plus adverb plus as. This works for actions too. Max doesn't speak English as well as his wife, or I don't earn as much as my boss. So you can use this structure here. Part 3. Superlatives, yeah? Then number 1. When to use them. Use superlatives to compare one person, thing, or action against a whole group. You're saying it is number 1. Kevin is the tallest player in the team. Oslo is the most expensive capital city in Europe. Lucy is the best student in the class. That's the worst we ever played. How to form superlatives. It's like comparatives, but use est instead of er and the most to the least instead of more and less. Don't forget the. We almost always use the before a superlative. A common mistake to avoid, use in for places. Actually, it's not a common mistake, but anyway. After a superlative, use in before the name of a place. Right, it's the longest bridge in the world. And wrong, it's the longest bridge of the world. Yeah, it sounds strange. Look, if you're sitting with a face right now like, what is this? What have I just read? Help me please, where is ambulance? And so on. Don't worry, I have an idea. Let's read more examples. And when I say more examples, I say really more examples. It will help you to understand this. Okay, let's take a look at more examples, as I mentioned it earlier in the video. Comparative adjectives. First, short words, er plus than. This box is lighter than that one. My dog is older than your puppy. Okay, I'll do it like this. The sun feels warmer today than yesterday. His new phone is faster than his old one. I'm shorter than my brother. The red car is slower than the blue car. So you see, it's quite simple here. Next is long words, when we use the word more plus adjective. This puzzle is more difficult than the last one. A tiger is more dangerous than a rabbit. She is more careful with her work now. His story was more interesting than I expected. Being kind is more important than being right. The ocean is more powerful than it looks. Fresh fruit is more delicious than candy. Something like that. Number 3. We have such words like two-syllable words ending in y with the er comparative, like happy, sleepy, easy, and so on. And you see, like the puppy seems happier after his walk. I'm sleepier in the morning than at night. This math problem is easier than the first one. My uncle is funnier than my dad. The baby got fussier, from the word fussy, as the day went on. In summer, the weather is sunnier. She was hungrier than her friend after the game. So such words as happy, sleepy, easy, funny, fussy, sunny, hungry, and so on. Next part is our irregular ones. Good, better, better, worse. It is just to remember. Don't ask any extra questions. Just remember that comparative form of good is better and comparative form of bad is worse. Like reading a book is better than staring at the screen. Home-cooked food always tastes better than takeout. And worse, my cold is worse today than it was yesterday. And the movie was worse than we expected. Next is far, farther, or further. Often, farther is for physical distance, like how many meters. Often, further is for metaphorical distance or more. For example, farther, physical distance. The store is farther away than I thought. Can you throw the ball farther? We walked farther into the forest. My house is farther from school than yours. But with further, it's kind of more or additional. We need to discuss this further. For further information, read the booklet. He left without speaking further. The plan was delayed further by the rain. Next is 5. Here are 7 examples where you can use either the ER form or more, and actually it doesn't matter here. So let's do it like this. For example, that was a cleverer, more clever solution. For some two-syllable adjectives, especially those ending in ER, OW, or LE, both forms are common and correct, so you can use both of them. Or it is quieter or more quiet at night. Again, quiet is a two-syllable adjective where both comparative forms are widely used and accepted, so you can use both. She seems happier or more happy today, while the standard rule, as we looked at above, is to use IER for two-syllable adjectives ending in Y, like happy, hungry, and so on. More happy or more hungry is also grammatically correct, especially for emphasis. So actually you can use both. If you think about what to use, more friendly or friendlier, don't think, just use whatever you like. Next is, he is simpler or more simple than his brother. Simple is another two-syllable adjective where both forms are acceptable, though the ER version, simpler, is often more common, because it's simpler to pronounce. Next is, this path is gentler on my knees or more gentle on my knees. Adjectives like gentle, ending in LE, frequently allow for both comparative forms again. Could he be crueler or more cruel? That's a weird... Actually, okay. For two-syllable adjectives not fitting a clear pattern like cruel, you will often hear both forms used, and so on. Because, it's a short word, yes, but it's very difficult to pronounce crueler. Actually, it's easier to pronounce more cruel, and here, just people choose the word according to their own taste, like what it's easier to pronounce. Next is number 7. The room felt emptier or more empty without her. Empty is another adjective where usage varies, and both emptier and more empty are correct. Okay, so you see there are some examples which are kind of, I can't say that they are confusing, but sometimes you have a feeling that both forms are correct and possible, so why not? Next is more plus ed and ing adjectives. Here it's important to remember that even if an adjective is short and so on, if it has ending ad or ing, we use more. I'm more tired today than I was yesterday. This book is more interesting than that one. She was more excited about the trip than her brother. The movie's ending was more surprising than the beginning. He felt more annoyed by the second noise. The work was more tiring than he expected. Everyone was more bored during the long lecture. Something like that. Okay, next is as plus adjective plus as or not as. So, some examples again. The suitcase is as heavy as a rock. Means very heavy. My coffee is not as hot as it was 10 minutes ago. And it makes sense. She's as talented as your famous teacher. This movie is not as funny as the first one. The new playground is as popular as we hoped. I'm not as hungry as I thought I was. His explanation was as clever as crystal. Interesting phrase. Next is less plus adjective. Okay, it's just the opposite word of more. So less is the opposite of more. This new backpack is less heavy than my old one. I'm less tired in the morning if I go to bed early. The second test was less difficult than the first. He is less interested in sports than his sister. That movie was less exciting than the trailer. My coffee is less sweet than yours. It is less sunny today than it was yesterday. And you see, as you remember, there was a rule like that about object pronouns, after and so on. It is just more examples, like 5 pairs. You see, you can say he's faster than me, he's faster than I am. You need more help than him, you need more help that he does, because it's just present simple. You need, he does. Is she as nervous as us? Is she as nervous as we are? We arrived earlier than them. We arrived earlier than they did. I can't sing as well as her. I can't sing as well as she can. Yeah, and another structure is the same as, and some more examples. Your phone is the same as mine. His opinion on the movie was the same as hers. My car is the same as the one in the advertisement, or advertisement, both versions of pronunciation. The recipe I use is the same as my grandmother's. The answer to the first question is the same as the answer to the second. So, there were some examples. Next is comparing two actions. Actually, yes, we also can compare actions, like how we do something, not always like we compare things. For example, some more of them. Comparative adverbs, here more. She arrives at work earlier than I do. The new software runs more efficiently than the old one. Please speak more clearly than that. You see, if the word ends with ly, we use word more. He solved the puzzle faster than anyone else. They responded to the email more quickly than I expected. My brother eats more healthily than I do. The children behaved better than usual today. Our team played worse than their opponents. Here are two regular ones. So, well, better, badly, worse. So, behave well, play badly, behaved better, played worse. Next is, okay, we can use this structure also to compare actions. I can't run as fast as you. He doesn't study as hard as his sister. They visit us as often as he can. She sings as beautifully as a professional. The car doesn't brake as smoothly as it used to. Please work as carefully as possible and pay attention to this. I don't sleep as well as I did when I was younger. So, sleep well, and we leave an adverb here as it's stated. I don't sleep as well as I did when I was younger. It's not as good as, because it's about an action. Sleep how? Sleep well. Okay, and the last part of this is just superlatives. I hope you know how they work. Let's just take a look at more examples. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. The highest, yeah? This is the most delicious cake I have ever eaten. She is the youngest player in the team. Of all my friends, he drives the most carefully. That was the least interesting movie of the year. It was the worst storm we have ever seen. This library has the oldest books in the city. Who is the fastest runner in your school? This is my best painting. He is the most intelligent person I know. That is their most popular song. It's the smallest room in the house. She sang the most beautifully in the entire competition. This is the easiest recipe I have ever tried. Okay, and the final one, he finished his work the quickest of anyone in the office. What a good boy. Oh, and some things to remember, regulars. Good, better, the best. Bad word, the worst. Far, farther, the farthest. Far, further, the furthest. It's about physical distance, it's about additional stuff and more metaphorical distance. Little, less, the least. Few, fewer, the fewest. And some examples with fewer and fewest. This recipe uses fewer eggs than that one. I have fewer books than my sister. Of all the students, she made the fewest mistakes on the test. Fewer people came to the meeting this month. We planted the fewest trees in our group. I hope that these examples maybe made your picture of this rule of comparatives and superlatives kind of brighter and more understandable. I hope so. But anyway, practice is better than looking at examples and reading rules. Okay, let's move on. Now, the following part for my Russian-speaking viewers, I'll translate these rules. If you don't need this part, just skip it and move straight away to exercises. Так, ребят, я хоть эту часть и переведу с правилами. На самом деле, более информативная была вот та предыдущая, где я просто зачитывал примеры. Там хотя бы можно увидеть все аспекты этого правила. Но пробежимся здесь, что ж тут написано такого. То есть мы здесь выбираем между сравнительной и превосходной формой. То есть как сравнивать двух людей, места, вещи и так далее. Мы используем, то есть первым у нас что написано? Мы используем сравнительные прилагательные, то есть это вот эти с окончанием er, либо со словом more, плюс слово than. Than это у нас чем, чтобы сравнивать двух людей, места, вещи и так далее. Дальше имеется в виду regular comparative, это обычные, правильные, то есть которые следуют правилам. Они у нас вот такие вот, old, older, big, bigger, то есть к коротким словам мы прибавляем окончание er. Если у нас стоит буква y и согласный, она распадается easier, так вот I-E-R. Слово modern, длинное слово, ну вообще к длинным словам мы добавляем слово more. Modern, more modern, difficult, more difficult. Так. И у нас есть, конечно же, исключения. Irregular — это исключение. Как я говорил, их надо запомнить. То есть хорошо — лучше, плохо — хуже и далеко — дальше. Ну и как я это обсуждал, слово farther через a — это дальше по расстоянию, дальше по дистанции, а further — это как такое метафоричное значение дальше, больше, то есть для дальнейшей информации, ваши дальнейшие действия, то есть вот что-то в этом роде. Это про физическую дистанцию, это про метафорическую дистанцию. Так, дальше у нас, если вдруг прилагательные оканчиваются либо на ed, либо на ing, то ставим слово more, то есть скучающий, более скучающий, стрессованный, более стрессованный, то есть уставший, более уставший и так далее. Мы также можем использовать вот эту сравнительную конструкцию as, чтобы, ну, по сути, сравнивать. То есть это такой же как, либо не такой же как. То есть вот мой новый диван не такой же уютный, как старый. Или у меня нет так много книг, как у меня до этого было. И так далее. То есть as, либо not as. По поводу вот этого правила, здесь нужно обратить внимание на что. Вообще, как оно звучит. Тут довольно запутанная вещь. Что-нибудь возьмем такое. Во. Так, объектные местоимения. После вот этих слов then и as в сравнениях. В общем, после слов чем, либо как, then и as, мы можем использовать объективное объектное местоимение, там me, him, her и так далее. Или же, получается, у нас субъектное местоимение, это наши самые первые, I, he, she и так далее, но добавить обязательно в этом случае вспомогательный глагол. Вот и получается, можно сказать she is taller than me, она выше, чем я, или she is taller than I am, это также переводится, она выше, чем я. Но здесь мы используем объектное местоимение, как me, him и так далее, а здесь субъектное плюс вспомогательный глагол. Или там they are not as busy as us, they are not as busy as we are. Вот, пожалуйста, два варианта, можно и так, и так. Конечно, вот это предпочтительно, и вы наверняка вот это увидели больше. Вот эта конструкция the same as обозначает точно такой же, как. Ну, точно такой же. То есть ее платье такое же, как мое. Her dress is the same as mine. То есть здесь вот такое правило. Дальше у нас как сравнивать два действия. Это два наречия. Здесь все сходится к чему? На самом деле, если вы видите, что слово оканчивается на окончание ly, там slowly, carefully, beautifully, то всегда будет more. Даже в слове там, например, возьмем quite тихий, quietly, тихо, все равно будет more quietly. Потому что если слово на ly заканчивается, мы ставим more. Но у нас есть такие как бы исключения. То есть запомнить отдельно, что fast, faster, у нас не будет этого fastly и так далее. Это вообще исключение из наречий fast, faster. Так, badly, то есть плохо. Что-то сделано worse, а well у нас better. Если помните, well это наречие от прилагательного good. То есть I'm a good runner, я хороший бегун, или I run well, я бегаю как хорошо. Так, дальше мы тоже можем использовать вот эту конструкцию s плюс наречие, чтобы делать сравнение. Ну, там Макс не говорит по-английски так же хорошо, как его жена, и я не зарабатываю так много денег, как мой босс. Так, и все здесь завершается превосходной степенью. Это наверняка тоже известно. Это артикль the, там либо окончание, либо most, обозначает самый. То есть Кевин – самый высокий игрок в команде. Осло – это самая дорогая, получается, столица в Европе. Маленькая сумка, она наименее дорогая, то есть самая дешевая, наименее дорогая. Люси – это самая лучшая студентка во всей группе. Кто одевается наиболее стильно в вашей семье? И это самое худшее, когда мы когда-либо играли. То есть хуже мы никогда не играли. То есть вот такой момент. То есть мы используем превосходные прилагательные наречия, чтобы сравнивать людей, вещей или действия во всей группе. То есть кто вот из этой группы самый. Мы формируем, получается, у нас эти превосходные степени похоже на то, как мы делаем это в сравнительных, но мы используем уже другие окончания. То есть не er, а est вместо er. Ну да, и the most, the least вместо more или less. Мы обычно используем the, вот этот артикль, перед вот этим превосходной степенью. Но мы также можем использовать, то есть это у нас притяжательные местоимения, это мой, твой, ваш, если стоит там мой, их и так далее, the, естественно, уже не будет. То есть my best friend, their most famous song и так далее. И мы также часто используем превосходную степень с present perfect плюс ever. It's the best book I've ever read. Это самая лучшая книга, которую я когда-либо читал. Ну и здесь очень странное правило, на самом деле, да я не слышал, чтобы кто-то такие ошибки совершал. Ну, в общем, если мы указываем на группу перед превосходной, мы используем предлог in. То есть это самый длинный мост в мире, это самый лучший пляж в Англии. И типа нельзя вместо in говорить of. Ну, честно признаюсь, ни у кого такой ошибки не слышал. Так, если все же в голове это не укладывается, переходим к упражнениям. Там будет аж целых 4, если я не ошибаюсь, первая часть и вторая. И уже через упражнения, через мои объяснения пытайтесь эту картину дополнить. Здесь единственная сложность. Вы отдельно проходили сравнительные, вы отдельно проходили наречия, вы отдельно проходили превосходные. А теперь это все вместе в одной куче просто слеплено. То есть, если вы по отдельности все эти топики как бы усвоены, вам здесь, для вас ничего сложного здесь нет. А если там плаваете, там плаваете, там плаваете, а тут еще все вместе, да, это жесть. То есть, я предлагаю разбираться во всем отдельно. То есть, сначала как сравнивать что-то, дальше наречия, как работают adverbs, затем как сравнивать наречия и превосходную степень. То есть, и потом все вот так вот вместе. Ну что ж, вместо 1000 слов давайте что ли к упражнениям. Grammar exercises. Part A. Complete with the comparative or superlative of the bold word and then if necessary. Okay, who could guess? So you use it or you do it like this. Faster than or the fastest. Easier than or the easiest. Hotter than or the hottest. Or more powerful than or the most powerful. It depends on the context of these sentences. So you just use whether a comparative or superlative, which is kind of appropriate to use here. Next is B. Complete with one word. Here, only one word is missed. You need to guess it or just to... Not to guess, I mean, according to the rule, how to say it, to understand which word is missed. It can be more, most, the... and so on. So these words are all related to our grammar topic today. So I don't think they're very difficult. Just do these exercises and then check yourself. Okay, let's start with the first one, with A. And I think it's clear here. Complete with a comparative or superlative for the bold word, and then, if necessary. What's the fastest way to get across London? It's superlative. I think skiing is... Here we compare. Skiing is easier than horse riding. The short word, and easier, and then. This is I've ever been on. We need superlative. This is the hottest train I've ever been on in my life. A motorbike is more powerful than a scooter. We compare motorbike with a scooter. I drive more slowly than my partner. Again, we compare here two actions. And if a word ends with ly, we use more. More slowly, more beautifully, more nicely, and so on. Number 5. Time to travel is on holiday weekends. I think here is the worst. Time to travel is on holiday weekends. Next is far I've ever driven is from London to Edinburgh. Here is about physical distance, so the farthest I've ever driven is from London to Edinburgh. The London Underground is older than the subway in New York. We compare two things. London Underground and New York subway. Next is, I think that traveling by train is the most relaxing form of transport. Okay, and number 9, of all my family, my mom is the best driver. Here we compare people in a group of family, she is the best. Okay, now let me read the answer keys again. What's the fastest way to get across London? I think skiing is easier than horse riding. This is the hottest train I've ever been on. A motorbike is more powerful than a scooter. I drive more slowly than my partner. The worst time to travel is on holiday weekends. The farthest I've ever driven is from London to Edinburgh. The London Underground is older than the subway in New York. I think that traveling by train is the most relaxing form of transport. Of all my family, my mom is the best driver. Okay, let's move on to part B. Here, complete with one word. Going by motorboat, is more exciting than traveling by ferry. Okay, coach isn't as comfortable as a train. As plus adjective plus as. It's the most expensive car we've ever bought. Here the superlative with the. The traffic was worse than we expected. We compare it. This is the longest journey I've ever been on. Here's ever. He gets home late, but his wife arrives later than him or than he does. So you can use both. He gets home late, but his wife arrives later than him or than he does, because it's a kind of the present simple here. Next is, I'm sorry, complete with one word. Yes, so actually it's technically incorrect, so only him we can use here. But okay, I just showed you two ways. The most interesting place I've ever visited is Venice. I leave home at the same time as my brother, the same as. He drives more carefully than his girlfriend. He's never had an accident. We don't go abroad as often as we used to. What's the longest motorway in the UK? That's all here, actually. Going by motorboat is more exciting than traveling by ferry. A coach isn't as comfortable as a train. It's the most expensive car we've ever bought. The traffic was worse than we expected. This is the longest journey I've ever been on. He gets home late, but his wife arrives later than him. The most interesting place I ever visited is Venice. I leave home at the same time as my brother. He drives more carefully than his girlfriend. He's never had an accident. We don't go abroad as often as we used to. What's the longest motorway in the UK? Okay, I think we need more exercises. So let's move on to part number 2. More grammar is coming. Tick the sentences where the bold phrases are right and correct the wrong ones. Write the answers in the column on the right. You see, I take the bus to work because it's more quickly than going by car. No, it's kind of, it is, we need an adjective here. It's quicker than going by car. It's not, we don't compare actions here. And Olga drives more carefully than Bill. Everything is fine here, we don't need to change anything. So, it's quite a difficult task because first you need to understand, is this wrong or right? And then you need to correct the wrong ones. Oh, okay, so I think good luck with it. Do it and then check. Okay, it's time to check. Let's see here. Let me do it like this. I take the bus to work because it's more quickly than going by car. It is quicker. Here we need an adjective. It's not an adverb here. Next is, Olga drives more carefully than Bill. Here's everything okay. I prefer visiting Paris in winter. It's less crowded than in summer. Believe it or not, it's completely okay. Now I've tried them on. These shoes are more comfortable than... You see, we don't use that. We use than, more comfortable than I thought they were going to be. Because we compare. Next, in this photo you look more young than your sister. No, it's a short word. It's better to say younger. It's not more young, just younger. Look younger than your sister. Black cabs in London are more expensive than other taxis. More expensive than. Yes, exactly. So everything is okay. Anne's not Anne is not as tall as Susie, but she's thinner. As not as tall as Susie. Actually, everything's fine. German trains are No. We use more modern. Modena, it's even... I don't know. It's difficult to pronounce it. It's are more modern than British ones. I love riding my scooter. Is more better? No. Just delete the word more. Good better. It's better than driving a car. And that's all. Can you say that again more slowly, please? I didn't understand a word. It's okay. It's the most beautiful beach I've never been on. No, I mean ever. What is it I've never been on? That's strange. Instead of never, we use ever in such situations. Next is Sean. Sean is the worst actor in the group, but he's the best singer. The worst. Actually, worst, not worse. Because worse is a comparative form and we need a superlative form, the worst actor in the group. What's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you? Actually, it's okay. What's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you? Personally, I think that Barcelona is the best city of the world. Not of, but in the world. In the world. Which sofa is more cheaper? No, cheaper. We don't use more here. Which sofa is cheaper? The blue one or the red one? I think we should take this case. It's the biggest one that we have. The biggest one that we have. It's okay. It's usually hotter here in June than it's in May. And you can say that everything's fine here, but it's hotter. It's double T. Because it's a short word. It's how to say it here, vowel sound and consonant sound. In this case, we use double. The last consonant gets doubled. But look, just forget about this and use it intuitively, because this rule it's impossible to remember. Okay, 18. Did you go to the same school as your brother? That restaurant over there is fantastic. It's cheap and you can eat as much food as you like. As much food as you like, it's fine. And it took me ages to walk there. It was further than I thought. Actually, it took me ages to walk there. It was further than I thought. If you corrected it with, now it's farther because it's about distance, yes, it can make sense here. It's okay. But sometimes people use and further and farther meaning just distance. So actually, here we have kind of two kinds of answers. It can be okay, and you can correct it to farther, and so on. It was farther than I thought. So something like that. Now let's read these things one more time. I take the bus to work because it's quicker than going by car. Olga drives more carefully than Bill. I prefer visiting Paris in winter. It's less crowded than in summer. Now I've tried them on. These shoes are more comfortable than I thought they were going to be. In this photo you look younger than your sister. Black cabs in London are more expensive than other taxis. Anne is not as tall as Susie, but she's thinner. German trains are more modern than British ones. I love riding my scooter. It's better than driving a car. Can you say that again more slowly, please? I didn't understand a word. It's the most beautiful beach I have ever been to. The sea looks amazing. Sean is the worst actor in the group, but he's the best singer. What's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you? Personally, I think that Barcelona is the best city in the world. Which sofa is cheaper, the blue one or the red one? I think we should take this case. It's the biggest one that we have. It's usually hotter here in June than it is in May. Did you go to the same school as your brother? That restaurant over there is fantastic. It's cheap and you can eat as much food as you like. It took me ages to walk there. It was farther than I thought. It was further than I thought. Here, depends on your preferences. Okay, so here we are. Grammar exercises. There we are. I think let's just move on, because there will be some things to practice, especially in speaking. Let's move on. Part C. Talk to a partner. Compare the three things in each group using the bold adjective. For example, for one, decide which is the most dangerous and then compare the other two. Say why. Okay, talk with yourself. For each group, use the bold adjective. First, decide which one is the most adjective, the number one, according to your opinion, of course. Then compare the other two. Say which one is more than the other. Always say why you think so. Here is the example, yeah? I think cycling is the most dangerous because sometimes drivers don't see cyclists. Riding a motorbike is more dangerous than driving because on a motorbike you don't have a car around to protect you. And something like that. Do it for number two, which is the easiest, or something like that, the most relaxing, the most difficult, and the most boring. And then compare the other two. I hope the task is clear. You have an example. Just do it and say something about each section of words, or about each group of words here. Number 5. Listening and pronunciation dangerous driving. Read and discuss. First, let's take a look at some interesting research about car accidents. Okay, let's read it together. 2 scientists at Virginia State University in the USA have published a book called Survive the Drive. In it, they describe their research into the most distracting things you can do when you're driving. They fitted video cameras and other devices to the cars of more than 3,500 drivers, 3,500 drivers who were aged between 16 and 98. They then recorded their driving for 3 years and they got millions of hours of video. During this time, the drivers had more than 900 accidents, and the researchers used the video to analyze exactly why they happened. These are some of the things that drivers do or feel when they're driving, which are the main causes or accidents. You see, adjusting the radio or music system, adjusting the sat-nav, eating or drinking, feeling emotional, feeling tired, looking at something by the road, reaching for something in the car, and talking to a passenger. Okay, so we have read it. What's next? We need to discuss these questions with ourselves. Just to say a couple things about these. And remember, there are no wrong answers. They're just your opinion. For example, do you think the research was reliable? So good and correct. Why or why not? You can say, yes, I think it was reliable because they studied 3,500 drivers for 3 years. That's a lot of information. Or you can say, maybe not, because the drivers knew they had a camera, so they drove more carefully. Number 2, look at the list of 8 things. Which 3 do you think are the most dangerous? Number them 1, 2, 3, where 1 the most dangerous. For example, I think number 1, feeling emotional, is the most dangerous because you can't concentrate. Then 2, reaching for something, and 3, feeling tired. It's something like that. It will be your own ideas. Next is, which one do you think is least dangerous or not dangerous at all? For example, you can say, I think talking to a passenger is the least dangerous because it's almost normal. But some people don't find it normal. But anyway, don't worry if you're right or wrong. This is just your opinion. We'll listen to find out the real answers soon. Okay, you're going to listen to an interview with a traffic safety expert. First, read the information box above. Linking. We often link words together in English, especially when we speak fast. Being familiar with when we link words will help you understand the individual words in fast speech. We link words 1. When a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound. For example, the most interesting, most interesting. Number 2. When a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with the same consonant sound. Like, for example, the worst time, the worst time. So you see, we link it. And number 3, when a word ends in T or D and the next word begins with T or D. For example, the biggest danger, and something like that. Okay, now listen and complete some extracts with linked words from the interview. Then listen again, check and practice saying it. But before, try to learn these words. It will be helpful in the future. Likely. Try to understand what it means, because likely is an adjective. Yes, like red, big and small, likely. We use it to talk about probability. For example, this is very distracting and makes you more likely to lose control of the car. It gives you more probability. It's more likely to happen, more chances, and so on. So pay some attention to this word. But anyway, your initial task and the main task is to listen and complete the gaps and then check.
3.15. 1.
What's the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving?
2.
You'll probably make bad decisions.
3.
People slow down to look at an accident.
4.
This is a really common cause of accidents on motorways.
5.
This makes you twice as likely to have an accident.
6.
What did you find most interesting?
7.
Always keep your eyes on the road.
(3.15) 1.
What's the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving?
2.
You'll probably make bad decisions.
3.
People slow down to look at an accident.
4.
This is a really common cause of accidents on motorways.
5.
This makes you twice as likely to have an accident.
6.
What did you find most interesting?
7.
Always keep your eyes on the road.
Part C. Now listen to the interview, number the activities in A 1 to 8. Were your top 3 correct?
On today's program, we're talking about how to drive safely. A new book called Survive the Drive has just been published, and we asked Tom, our transport and travel correspondent, to take a look. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
So tell us, what's the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving? Obviously, we're not talking about drinking alcohol, taking drugs, or using a handheld phone to make calls or text, which everyone knows you must never do.
Well, this is really surprising. Top of the list is driving when you're feeling emotional. The researchers found that you're nearly 10 times more likely to have an accident if you're feeling very sad or angry or stressed. If you're emotional, then you can't concentrate on the road, and you'll probably make bad decisions if you find yourself in a dangerous situation. In fact, if you're feeling very emotional, it'd be better not to drive at all.
Wow, okay. I'll try to remember that next time I have a bad day at work. What's the second most dangerous thing?
This one's less surprising. It's reaching for something in your car. It might be your phone or a map or some sweets. If you're reaching down or trying to get something from the back seat, then you aren't looking at the road, and you're 9 times more likely to have an accident.
And number 3?
Number 3 is looking at something interesting or something that's happening by the road. A really common example of this is when people slow down to look at an accident. They don't realise that by looking at the accident and not at the road, the chance of having an accident themselves goes up over 7 times. In fact, this is a really common cause of accidents on motorways.
So the message is, don't be distracted.
Yes, exactly. If you're driving fast, you can travel over 100 metres in less than 3 seconds. And a lot can happen in 3 seconds.
So that's the top 3. What about other things to avoid?
Well, number 4 is adjusting your sat-nav, which can be very distracting and makes you nearly 5 times more likely to have an accident. At number 5 is driving when you're tired. 60% of drivers say they've driven when tired in the last year, so it's a big problem, and you can lose control of your car completely. And at number 6 is adjusting your radio or music system. This makes you twice as likely to have an accident. Again, it's the distraction from the road that's the problem, and only having one hand on the wheel.
And And the last two?
The seventh is eating or drinking, because again, you normally take one hand off the wheel. And the eighth is talking to a passenger, which can be distracting because the driver often turns to look at the passenger.
So, how would you summarise the research? What did you find most interesting?
I think for me the most interesting thing is that some of these things don't seem very dangerous, and good drivers often do them. But the research shows that they are. So next time you get in your car to drive somewhere, think about what you're doing. And always, always keep your eyes on the road.
Okay, next up. Now you will listen to the interview again, but this time pay very close attention to the numbers and facts the expert gives. Your task: for each of the 8 dangerous activities, write down one number or one fact that you hear. That fact could be a percentage or another piece of specific information. Okay, then the first one is done for you as an example. You see, feeling emotional, 10 times more likely to have an accident. Now listen and write the key number or fact for the other 7 activities. Reaching for something in the car, looking at something by the road, adjusting the sat-nav, feeling tired, adjusting the radio or music system, eating or drinking, talking to a passenger. And remember about the word likely. It will help you. Ready? Now listen to it very, very carefully.
On today's programme, we're talking about how to drive safely. A new book called Survive the Drive has just been published, and we asked Tom, our transport and travel correspondent, to take a look. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
So tell us, what's the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving? Obviously, we're not talking about drinking alcohol, taking drugs, or using a handheld phone to make calls or text, which everyone knows you must never do.
Well, this is really surprising. Top of the list is driving when you're feeling emotional. The researchers found that you're nearly 10 times more likely to have an accident if you're feeling very sad or angry or stressed. If you're emotional, then you can't concentrate on the road, and you'll probably make bad decisions if you find yourself in a dangerous situation. In fact, if you're feeling very emotional, it'd be better not to drive at all.
Wow, okay. I'll try to remember that next time I have a bad day at work. What's the second most dangerous thing?
This one's less surprising. It's reaching for something in your car. It might be your phone or a map or some sweets. If you're reaching down or trying to get something from the back seat, then you aren't looking at the road, and you're 9 times more likely to have an accident.
And number 3?
Number 3 is looking at something interesting or something that's happening by the road. A really common example of this is when people slow down to look at an accident. They don't realise that by looking at the accident and not at the road, the chance of having an accident themselves goes up over 7 times. In fact, this is a really common cause of accidents on motorways.
So the message is, don't be distracted.
Yes, exactly. If you're driving fast, you can travel over 100 metres in less than 3 seconds. And a lot can happen in 3 seconds.
So that's the top 3. What about other things to avoid?
Well, number 4 is adjusting your sat-nav, which can be very distracting and makes you nearly 5 times more likely to have an accident. At number 5 is driving when you're tired. 60% of drivers say they've driven when tired in the last year, so it's a big problem, and you can lose control of your car completely. And at number 6 is adjusting your radio or music system. This makes you twice as likely to have an accident. Again, it's the distraction from the road that's the problem, and only having one hand on the wheel.
And the last two?
The 7th is eating or drinking, because again you normally take one hand off the wheel. And the 8th is talking to a passenger, which can be distracting because the driver often turns to look at the passenger.
So, how would you summarise the research? What did you find most interesting?
I think for me the most interesting thing is that some of these things don't seem very dangerous, and good drivers often do them. But the research shows that they are. So next time you get in your car to drive somewhere, think about what you're doing. And always, always keep your eyes on the road.
Let's check your answers. Number 1. Feeling emotional, 10 times more likely to have an accident. Number 2. Reaching for something in the car, 9 times more likely to have an accident. Number 3. Looking at something by the road, 7 times more likely to have an accident. Number 4. Adjusting the sat-nav, 5 times more likely to have an accident. Feeling tired, number 5. 60% of drivers have driven when tired in the last year. Number 4. Adjusting the radio or music system, twice as likely to have an accident. Number 7. Eating or drinking, you normally take one hand off the wheel. And talking to a passenger, the driver often turns to look at the passenger, and something like that. Now it's time to listen to it one more time and read at the same time.
On today's programme, we're talking about how to drive safely. A new book called Survive the Drive has just been published, and we asked Tom, our transport and travel correspondent, to take a look. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
So tell us, what's the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving? Obviously, we're not talking about drinking alcohol, taking drugs, or using a handheld phone to make calls or text, which everyone knows you must never do.
Well, this is really surprising. Top of the list is driving when you're feeling emotional. The researchers found that you're nearly 10 times more likely to have an accident if you're feeling very sad or angry or stressed. If you're emotional, then you can't concentrate on the road, and you'll probably make bad decisions if you find yourself in a dangerous situation. In fact, if you're feeling very emotional, it'd be better not to drive at all.
Wow, okay. I'll try to remember that next time I have a bad day at work. What's the second most dangerous thing?
This one's less surprising. It's reaching for something in your car. It might be your phone or a map or some sweets. If you're reaching down or trying to get something from the back seat, then you aren't looking at the road, and you're 9 times more likely to have an accident.
And number 3?
Number 3 is looking at something interesting or something that's happening by the road. A really common example of this is when people slow down to look at an accident. They don't realise that by looking at the accident and not at the road, the chance of having an accident themselves goes up over 7 times. In fact, this is a really common cause of accidents on motorways.
So the message is, don't be distracted.
Yes, exactly. If you're driving fast, you can travel over 100 metres in less than 3 seconds. And a lot can happen in 3 seconds.
So that's the top 3. What about other things to avoid?
Well, number 4 is adjusting your sat-nav, which can be very distracting and makes you nearly 5 times more likely to have an accident. At number 5 is driving when you're tired. 60% of drivers say they've driven when tired in the last year, so it's a big problem, and you can lose control of your car completely. And at number 6 is adjusting your radio or music system. This makes you twice as likely to have an accident. Again, it's the distraction from the road that's the problem, and only having one hand on the wheel.
And the last two?
The 7th is eating or drinking, because again, you normally take one hand off the wheel. And the 8th is talking to a passenger, which can be distracting because the driver often turns to look at the passenger.
So, how would you summarize the research? What did you find most interesting?
I think for me the most interesting thing is that some of these things don't seem very dangerous, and good drivers often do them. But the research shows that they are. So next time you get in your car to drive somewhere, think about what you're doing. And always, always keep your eyes on the road.
Так, и теперь перевод. Здравствуйте и добро пожаловать. В сегодняшней программе мы говорим про то, как водить, аккуратно, безопасно. Новая книга называется «Переживи поездку». Только что была опубликована, и мы спросили Тома, нашего, получается, корреспондента по транспорту и по путешествиям, взглянуть на это, to take a look. Сам часто использую эту фразу. Добро пожаловать, Том. Спасибо. Итак, скажи нам, какая самая опасная вещь вы можете делать, когда вы водите или во время вождения? Очевидно, мы не говорим про распитие алкоголя, принятие наркотиков или использование, получается, handheld phone. Имеется в виду, это вот эти самые телефоны, самые обычные, к которым мы привыкли. И здесь просто намек на то, что который мы держим в руке, чтобы совершать звонки или писать сообщения, что каждый знает, вы никогда не должны делать. То есть, что каждый знает, вы никогда не должны делать, дословно. Вообще-то это очень удивительно. Наверху этого списка, получается, вождение, когда вы чувствуете себя эмоциональной, то есть, когда вас переполняют эмоции. Исследователи обнаружили, что вы почти в 10 раз скорее попадете в аварию, если вы чувствуете очень грустно или чувствуете злость или тревогу. Если вы очень эмоциональны и вы не можете... из-за этого здесь. Если вы очень эмоциональны, вы из-за этого не можете сконцентрироваться на дороге, и вы, возможно, совершите какие-то плохие решения, если вы найдете себя в опасной ситуации. В действительности, если вы чувствуете себя очень эмоциональным, я бы вообще тогда бы не водил. Имеется в виду в этот период. Нужно сначала успокоиться, а потом куда-то ехать. Вау, окей. Попытаюсь запомнить, что в следующий раз, когда у меня будет очень плохой день на работе, какая самая, вторая по значимости или вторая по опасности вещь? Это вообще менее удивительно. Это когда вы пытаетесь дотянуться до чего-то в вашей машине. Это может быть ваш телефон, карта или даже конфеты. Если вы тянете руку вниз или пытаетесь взять что-нибудь из заднего сиденья, и затем из-за этого вы не смотрите на дорогу, вы в 9 раз вероятнее попадете в аварию. Вот это 9 times more likely, 9 раз более вероятно попадете в аварию. То есть have an accident — это, дословно попасть в аварию. Так, вторая часть. Идем дальше здесь. Номер 3. Номер 3 — это смотреть на что-то интересное или что-то, что происходит на дороге. Очень распространенное, то есть common — это частое, распространенный, очень распространенный пример этого, когда люди замедляют скорость, чтобы посмотреть на аварию. Они не понимают, что, смотря на аварию, а не на дорогу, шанс самому попасть в аварию, то есть goes up, вырастает на аж 7 раз. То есть вырастает в 7 раз. В действительности это очень распространенная причина аварий на шоссе. Итак, то есть основная идея или такой посыл Не отвлекайся. Don't be distracted. То есть будь неотвлекованным. Да, определенно. Если вы едете быстро, вы можете, то есть, ехать, получается, 100 метров в менее чем за 3 секунды. И много всего может случиться за 3 секунды. Так, это вот топ-3. А что насчет остальных вещей, которые следует избегать? Ну, номер 4 — это, получается, настройка вашего навигатора, которая может быть очень отвлекающей и, то есть, имеется в виду makes you nearly 5 times, то есть она как бы тут выразиться-то? Короче, вы почти в 5 раз станете более вероятным попасть в аварию. Вот так вот выкрутимся. Номер 5 — это вождение, когда вы уставшие. 60% водителей говорят, что они водили, когда сильно хотели спать или были уставшими последний год. И это большая проблема. Вы можете потерять контроль вашей машины полностью. И номер 6 — это, получается, настройка вашего радио или музыкальной системы. Это делает вас дважды вероятным. И я бы здесь перевел, на самом деле, это удваивает вероятность аварии. И снова отвлечение от дороги. Вот где главная проблема. Так, and only having one hand on the wheel имеется в виду и когда у вас только одна рука на рулю. Или на руле. На рулю. Так, на руле одна рука. А последние два. На 7-м месте это кушать или пить, потому что, ну, вы обычно, да, убираете одну руку с руля, и на 8-м месте это разговаривать с пассажиром, что может стать отвлекающим, потому что водитель часто поворачивается, чтобы посмотреть на пассажира. Итак, как бы вы все подвели итог этому исследованию? Что вы обнаружили самого интересного? Я думаю, для меня самая интересная вещь — это то, что некоторые из этих вещей не кажутся, то есть don't seem, не кажутся очень опасными, и хорошие водители часто делают их. Но исследования показывают, что вот они опасные, то есть эти вещи. Поэтому в следующий раз, когда вы залезаете в свою машину, чтобы куда-то поехать, подумайте о том, что вы делаете. И всегда keep your eyes on the road, то есть имеется в виду, то есть держите свои глаза на дороге. То есть делайте так, чтобы глаза были приклеены к дороге. Вот такая вот аудиозапись. Ну что ж, надеюсь, стало чуть понятней, подразобрали, какие-то слова, может быть, встретились. А так, в целом, думаю, не очень сложно-то было. Ну что ж, двигаемся дальше. Part E. Discuss these questions with yourself. Number 1. Are you surprised by any of this research? Example answers. Yes, I'm very surprised. I didn't think that feeling emotional was the most dangerous. I thought using a phone would be number 1. I'm not surprised that reaching for something is so high. I almost had an accident once when I dropped my phone. Or I'm a little surprised that talking to a passenger is on the list. I do that all the time and it seems safe. Then it's just some examples. Your ideas are better. Will be. I hope so. Number 2. Which of these things are you or drivers you know most likely to do when driving? For example, I often adjust the radio, especially a long journey. I know it's not safe, but I do it quickly. Or my father always talks to passengers and sometimes he doesn't look at the road. It makes me nervous. I sometimes drive when I'm feeling tired. I know it's dangerous, but I just want to get home. I never adjust the sat-nav while driving. I always stop first. But I often eat or drink a coffee in the car. Okay, now share your own thoughts and discuss it. Part 6. Speaking. Your opinions on driving. First, think on your own, yeah? Read the statements and put a tick if you agree and an X if you disagree. Think about why you feel that way. Then, read this statement and say your opinion. Let's look at some examples of what to say. You see, people who drink and drive should lose their driving license for life. You can agree. In my opinion, this is a good idea because it's very dangerous and people need to learn a big lesson. Or you can disagree. Personally, I don't think it should be for life, maybe for a very long time, but people can change. Number 2. Slow drivers cause more accidents than fast drivers. I agree, when someone drives too slowly on a fast road, it can be confusing and dangerous for other cars. Or I disagree, I think fast drivers are more dangerous because they can't stop quickly. Number 3. Speed cameras do not stop accidents, they just make money. You can say, in my view, this is true. Many people just slow down for the camera and then speed up again. Or I think they do help, or they just help. They make people drive more slowly in dangerous places, so there are fewer accidents. Number 4. Drivers over 70 are as dangerous as young drivers. You can agree, like maybe. It's a delicate topic. Older drivers can have slower reactions, just like young drivers can be less experienced. Or you can say disagree. I don't think so. I think young drivers take more risks and they are more dangerous. And number 5. Cyclists should only be allowed in cycle lanes. Personally, I think this is safer for everyone. Cars and bikes shouldn't mix on the road. Or you can disagree, this is impossible. There aren't cycle lanes everywhere. Cyclists should be able to use the road. 6. It should be illegal to eat or drink when you're driving. You can say, yes, definitely. If you're eating, you only have one hand on the wheel and you're not concentrating. Or, I don't think it needs to be illegal. Drinking some water or coffee is not a big problem. Number 7. The minimum age for riding a motorbike should be 25. I strongly believe this is a good idea. Young people are less responsible and motorbikes are very dangerous. Disagree. 25 is too old. If you're 18, you're an adult. You should be able to decide. Or 8. The speed limit on motorways should be lower. Yes, lower speeds are safer for everyone and better for the environment. Or in my opinion, the speed limit is okay now. Motorways are the safest roads to drive fast on, something like that. So now it's your turn. Okay, good luck with it. Next is the final part, writing an article for a website. In this final part, you will learn how to write an article about transport. Let's get started. Part A. First, let's think and guess. Look at the 4 types of transport in London. Before you read, try to guess which one is probably the most expensive, the healthiest for your health, the best for sightseeing, for seeing the city, and the safest late at night. Just make a quick guess. You will check your answers next. Now read and check. Read the article Transport in London on the website. Check if your guesses from Part A were correct, and then try to answer these questions without looking at the article from memory. What can you use an Oyster card for? How much does it cost to hire a bike? What's the difference between a black cab and minicab? Transport in London. The Underground. The Tube. This is the quickest way to get around the city and there are many stations all over London. The cheapest way to use the Underground is to get an Oyster card. You put money on it and then top it up when you need to. Then you use it every time you get the tube. You can buy Oyster cards at tube stations and online. You can also use a contactless bank card to pay, or your smartphone, if you have a mobile payment app. Some tube lines operate 24 hours a day at the weekend. Buses. Buses can be quicker than the underground if there isn't too much traffic. The easiest way to use them, like the underground, is with an Oyster card, contactless card, or smartphone. Some buses operate 24 hours a day, so you can use them late at night. Traveling the top deck of a double-decker bus is also a very good way to get to know London and see some of its famous buildings. Bikes. Bikes are now more popular than ever in London, especially tourists and commuters. It's a good way to get some exercise. There are quite a lot of cycle lanes, and there's a good bike hire program. You pay at a docking station with a credit or debit card, and it costs £2 to access bikes for the next 24 hours. During this time, you can use as many bikes as you like. The first 30 minutes for any bike is free. If you want to use a bike for a longer journey, you have to pay more. Each extra 30 minutes costs £2. Taxis and minicabs. London's black taxis, black cabs, are expensive, but they're comfortable and the taxi drivers know London very well. You normally tell the driver where you want to go before you get the taxi. Minicabs are normal cars which work for a company, and most people book them with an app. They're usually much cheaper than black taxis. Taxis or minicabs are probably the safest way to travel late night. Part C. Find the missing words. Read the article one more time. Your job is to complete the gaps 1 to 7 with the correct prepositions. The prepositions you can use are around, at, in, of, on, you see 2 times or twice, and with. And one tip. The transport in your town box shows how to use you to talk about people in general. It also reminds you about comparatives and superlatives, which are perfect for this kind of article. Okay, I think this task isn't difficult. Complete the gaps, then listen and check. Transport in London. The underground. The tube. This is the quickest way to get around the city, and there are many stations all over London. The cheapest way to use the underground is to get an Oyster card. You put money on it and then top it up when you need to. Then you use it every time you get the tube. You can buy Oyster cards at tube stations and online. You can also use a contactless bank card to pay, or your smartphone, if you have a mobile payment app. Some tube lines operate 24 hours a day at the weekend. Buses. Buses can be quicker than the underground if there isn't too much traffic. The easiest way to use them, like the underground, is with an Oyster card, contactless card, or smartphone. Some buses operate 24 hours a day, so you can use them late at night. Traveling the top deck of a double-decker bus is also a very good way to get to know London and see some of its famous buildings. Bikes. Bikes are now more popular than ever in London, especially tourists and commuters. It's a good way to get some exercise. There are quite a lot of cycle lanes, and there's a good bike hire program. You pay at a docking station with a credit or debit card, and it costs £2 to access bikes for the next 24 hours. During this time, you can use as many bikes as you like. The first 30 minutes for any bike is free. If you want to use a bike for a longer journey, you have to pay more. Each extra 30 minutes costs £2. Taxis and minicabs. London's black taxis, black cabs, are expensive, but they're comfortable and the taxi drivers know London very well. You normally tell the driver where you want to go before you get the taxi. Minicabs are normal cars which work for a company, and most people book them with an app. They're usually much cheaper than black taxis. Taxis or minicabs are probably the safest way to travel late night. Now, part D. Your turn to write. Now you will write a similar article about transport in your nearest big town or city. How to do it? Plan your headings. What types of transport will you write about? Buses, the metro, taxis, bikes? I don't know. For each type, write a short paragraph. You can talk about: is it cheap or expensive? Is it fast or slow? Is it easy to use? What is good or bad about it? And then use a language from the box and the vocabulary bank from this lesson to help you. Look, I always say these things or such things. Writing tasks are optional. If you don't feel like doing it, if you find it hard, if you think it's not necessary for you, you can skip it and that's all. But if you would like to have a challenge, why not? Try to write an article, you have an example in front of your eyes, and then check it maybe by using AI tools and something, or some grammar checkers. I don't know, any tools that you can use for it. Because you see, there is nobody to check your article or your writing. It's so very sad when you learn from video lessons, not from real teachers. It's up to you. Do it or skip it. Extra speaking. Complete the questions with a comparative or superlative form of the word in brackets and then answer the questions. Let me speak first. English. Which do you think is the hardest to learn, your own language or English? Of course, I think it's my own language, my native language. It's very hard, and I think it's one of the hardest languages in the world to learn. Next is, what's the most difficult thing about studying English? It's a personal question, yeah? You can share your own opinion. For example, for me, what's the most difficult? I think it's to study English pronunciation, because you have to remember how each word sounds like and so on. Then you learn that there are many nuances that you should be aware of and so on. And it's a hell, actually, to study English pronunciation. I think it's the most difficult part. But you can disagree with me and say your own thing that you find the most difficult. Next is traveling. What's the worst holiday you've ever had? Actually, I can't say anything about this because I think all my holidays were okay. Maybe I think there was a holiday when I got sick, but I don't remember it, so I'll skip it. Next is, which do you use kind of more often, public transport or a car? Of course, public transport. I'm not a driver. I don't have a car. I don't like cars. I don't like everything connected to cars. And I'm quite happy that I walk everywhere, or when I need it for some emergencies or urgent situations, I can use a taxi and so on. But I always walk, not kind of drive. And public transport sometimes. Okay, your life. During a typical day, are you the most active in the morning or in the afternoon? Of course in the afternoon, because I hate mornings. I'm not a morning person. Probably you know it. I don't know how many times I have said it. Quite a lot. Okay, so I think I am the most active in the evening. Not in the afternoon, not in the morning. Next is, the unhealthiest, or no, we can use what's the most unhealthy habit. But actually, the unhealthiest is also sounds good. But let's stick to the rule. What's the most unhealthy habit? Let me think. Yeah, I think I drink too much coffee. I really drink a lot of coffee. It can't be healthy, but still, I don't think I should change anything. But anyway, in the future, I think I need to cut down on it. But we'll see. Okay, friends and family. Who's the most good-looking person in your family? I don't know, probably my mother. She when she was young, she was quite beautiful and so on. And now she's also quite good-looking person. Okay, next is, who in your family are you the closest to? Yeah? Who in your family are you the closest to? Okay, it's a difficult question because I'm quite close to all members of my family. But I think, of course, I'm closest to my mother because we spent a lot of time together and used to spend a lot of time together and so on. That's why it makes sense that I'm closest to my mother. Next is technology. If you have a technical problem, who is the best person you know to help you? Of course, it's my brother. He's keen on technology, how computers work and stuff. Actually, he can fix everything, so on. Number 2, which do you think is more practical, laptop or a tablet? Oh, if we compare, okay, I think more practical is a laptop because, no, actually I don't know. It depends on what purposes you're going to use it. For example, for some university lectures, I would use a tablet because it's smaller, you can take it everywhere and so on, and you don't need to charge it so much as a laptop, for example. But if you do some projects or if you work in IT, a laptop, I think in this situation would be a better choice. Wow, so I can't decide which option is better or is more practical. I think they both are okay, but it depends on the situation. Okay, those were my so-called answers, so-so ones. Now it's your time to speak. Okay, part number 2. Again, I will say something, then you will say something. How it works. Number 1. Apart from English, what do you think is the most useful foreign language to learn? Let me say it like this. I think the most useful language to learn is a language that you like learning. Because otherwise, you just won't learn it. If you hate this language, how it sounds like, how the texts look like, and so on. So the most useful is a language that you like. Next is, do you find listening is easier than speaking? Yeah, I think so. Because you just listen. Yeah, I agree with it. I think it's easier. I have nothing to say. Okay, traveling. What's the longest journey you've ever been on? I think it was just one day by train when I was a little kid. We went to the seaside and it was nice, even more than a day. I think it was like 30 hours by train. It's the longest journey I've ever been on. Next is, do you think traveling alone is more enjoyable than traveling with friends or family? No, I don't think so because I don't like traveling alone. No, I would prefer to travel with someone, with friends or family member, because for me it's easier and, less boring, so to speak, when you have someone to speak to. Okay, your life. Which part of the day is the most relaxing for you? Most relaxing, yeah? I think it's I think it's night because everybody's asleep and you just can relax and do your things. Okay, do you eat more healthily than in the past? Yes, I do. It's very reliable to me because, or for me, I started eating healthily maybe kind of half a year ago, and now I feel much better than I used to. And I recommend you do the same because it's so nice when you eat healthily, you feel great and so on. But you need to do some research before you eat healthily because some people have no idea what is a healthy diet is. They think you kind of cut all things off your diet and kind of happy with this. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a really difficult job to make yourself eat healthily. Okay, next stuff, friends and family. What's your best friend like? You see, I haven't used the article the because we have already kind of possessive adjective your. So what's your best friend like? What is he like? It's about personality. Yeah, I think he's kind of a clown, but he's a very reliable and nice person. So he's funny, reliable, and very, very interesting person to talk to because he's quite smart and I like it. So something like this. Next is, who is the most fluent English speaker in your family? Guess who? Actually, in my family, I think nobody speaks English in my family. I'm the only option. Next is technology. Which do you replace more often, your phone or your laptop or tablet? Of course, my phone, because actually it usually works about a year, then it breaks down, and then I need a new phone. Next is, what's the most expensive gadget you've ever bought? I think it's my computer, of course. Computers are very expensive, but they are worth it because without computers, it's very difficult to work, to edit videos, or make videos, and so on. Okay, those were my examples or my answers. Now it's your time to speak. Say something about these questions. Say something about these questions. Now let's take a look at the workbook tasks. So, your homework.
Three point 2. 3A. Pronunciation. A. 1.
It's the most dangerous thing I've ever done.
2.
It's more relaxing going by train than by bus.
3.
The most interesting place to visit is the museum.
4.
flying is a lot more expensive than going by ferry.
5,
There's an old tram that goes up the hill.
6,
It's the first time I've been here.
Теперь информация для тех, кто ищет разборы рабочих тетрадей, там, где выполнены все задания и даны мои комментарии. Заходите на любой урок по курсу Intermediate и переходите в описание. В описании первая ссылочка стоит у нас здесь Subscription to Boosty, Workbook Answer, Keys Here. Щелкайте на данную ссылочку и переходите на сайт Boosty. Далее производите регистрацию, то есть любым удобным способом. После этого вы можете оформить любую из данных подписок. В самой первой подписке Student разобраны рабочие тетради. После того, как вы подписываетесь, переходите в главное меню, где есть удобная навигация. Вот здесь English File Elementary, English File Pre-Intermediate, English File Intermediate. В принципе, то, что нам нужно. Щелкайте на данную ссылочку Workbook, вас переносит к данному посту. Там будут даны ссылки на видео с разборами рабочих тетрадей. Они будут постоянно обновляться, то есть выходит новый юнит, автоматически здесь появляются разборы и рабочие тетради. Это поможет вам лучше разобраться в домашней работе, ну а мне в свою очередь поможет продолжать выпускать данные видеоролики, потому что, ребят, честно, без вашей поддержки делать это очень-очень тяжело. Спасибо за внимание. Переходим к заключительному слову. And Unit 3A, final word, and that's a wrap on Unit 3A, Survive the Drive. Over this video lesson, you've navigated the busy streets of language learning, from an exciting race across London to understanding what really distracts drivers on the road. But more importantly, you've gained the tools to talk about travel and transport with confidence. You can now use comparatives and superlatives smoothly to compare different ways of getting around, saying what's faster, the most expensive, or as convenient as something else. You've expanded your vocabulary with key transport words, from scooters and trams to traffic jams and zebra crossings, helping you describe journeys clearly. You've practiced tricky sounds like sh, j, and ch, and learned how English words link together in fast speech, making it easier to understand real conversations. And remember, every time you talk about how you get to work, give directions, or share an opinion about driving, you're not just using English, you're kind of navigating the world with it. Keep moving forward, you're on the right track. And. It would be nice if you support me by putting likes, subscribing to both YouTube and Telegram channels, and the best thing you can do is to subscribe on boosty.com, which allows me make more such wonderful lessons. Now I think that's all for today. See you on the next video lesson, and bye bye.